This is the Catalpa tree, and right now we got rain July 4th, and the honeybees are noticing that the leaves have sugar in them. So the honeybees are getting on the leaves, and this time of year a moth lays an egg on the leaves, and the tree is already finished growing for the year. It's just going to sit here. It's not going to put out any more growth. And the leaves would normally fall in the autumn and take all winter to decompose, and then the plants could grow again. But the moth that lays the egg changes things. It decomposes or digests the leaves right away. See, here's a honeybee on the leaves. The moth eats the leaves and digests the leaves, and they become fertilizer, and it leaves the tree barren, bare branches. And down below, the soil gets very fertile from all these sugary leaves being digested. And these beautiful worms, caterpillars, get on the tree, and they are the moth's babies, and people like to use them for fish baits, and their reputation is very good as a bait, and people have all kinds of recipes for how they use them. Some people mix them with dough, and some people use them by themselves, just as they are. And they're notorious as a catfish bait. But they're only here once a year in July, and in just a couple of weeks they finish the leaves, and that's the end of their cycle. There'll be no more. I'll show you some trees that have a lot of them on there. Here are some trees that have a lot of the caterpillar on them. These caterpillars only live on Catalpa trees, and during the 2 weeks they're on the tree they defoliate the tree, but it's beneficial because it actually fertilizes the tree. Normally a tree loses its leaves, and by the time winter is over the leaves either blow away or they've been consumed and carried off by earthworms and other things. But in this stage, the tree seems to put everything it's got into these leaves just before the worm comes. The sugars, you can tell, are really there because there's flies, bees, all kinds of bees on the tree's leaves. And here's what the worm looks like. That's the Catalpa worm that everybody uses for bait. They're totally harmless. They have a little horn, a little soft horn on the back of their tail that sticks up, as you can see, but it doesn't really have any spine. It's very soft. Anyway, they're beneficial to the tree. The tree seems to feed them by adding extra sugar to its leaves. As you can see, these honeybees on the leaves in the center, they go for the leaf this time of year only because the tree puts out sugar to help the caterpillar. And after the tree is defoliated, after 2 full weeks, the tree is a bare twig. At the very first rain, it revives and grows a brand new set of leaves. And I tell you, this tree really puts out a lot of nectar from its leaves. But there's your caterpillar right there, and there's a tree being defoliated. And as I said, once the defoliation is done, they're gone and they don't come back. And the new leaves are not affected until next year in July. And if the caterpillar wasn't here, the tree wouldn't grow anymore anyway. But already, because it's being defoliated, it already says it's going to start growing again. You can see right there, there's new buds already forming in anticipation of when they get defoliated. So this is the natural process, kind of a symbiotic relationship. And this helps the pollinators because all the leaves that are cut are really putting on the nectar. You do see that the honeybees are on this tree and they're sucking the juices out of the leaves. And there is other nectar available in flowers, but see, bees do take nectar from leaves. And that's what they do in certain cases, and the Catalpa is one of these cases. Here's a tree that's been fully defoliated and is ready to regrow. And you'll see there are some little birds on the tree, and they're taking care of the last caterpillars that are still hanging on. So it also feeds the birds when it does this. But you can see this tree is defoliated, and it'll be no harm at all because the tree would have just shed these leaves later. But like I said, it's going to now start a new flush of leaves. And some trees, the moth doesn't lay any eggs on at all. And the ones that it doesn't lay eggs on don't attract bees.